Hey everybody, Joe Friesen here again. Today I'm working on the starter on my 1990 Toyota pickup. It's a 2.4 liter 22R, not the RE, and I've pulled the electric starter out of it because I've been having a problem with dead spots and having to hit it with a hammer and to get it going again. So I've pulled it apart. There's a million YouTube videos out there about how to get the starter out of your truck. I'm going to show you how to fix your starter without having to buy a new one. This could save you hundreds of dollars. So basically what you got to do is you pull off the whole back housing. This is just the drive gear that sits underneath this. It's held on with 2 bolts holding the solenoid on, long bolts, and 2 shorter bolts holding the actual starter part of it on. So you take those 4 bolts out, pop the bottom off, put that aside, take the spring out, put that there so you make sure that you don't forget it. Then what you want to do is take and pop the top off of the starter, which is this piece. It looked like that. 3 bolts, nothing big, pop that off. Then you have a look inside. When you look inside, what you'll see is this, and it's your plunger and contact rings. Now, if you look real close in here, you can see those contact areas are really dirty. Sorry, trying to do this with one hand is difficult. Right there, super pitted, damaged contact ring. So that's what you want to get in and clean up. You want to take something like a Scotch-Brite pad or something abrasive like a light emery cloth, or just something to take all that pitting and all the blackness out of there. And then you need to do the same thing on the corresponding contact ring, because this is what's making contact. So these are all dirty and pitted, and then when you get bad contact, you get no current flow, and that makes your starter not spin, and that equals dead spot. So I'm going to pull that apart, put it all back together, and see if it actually works. And I'll give you an update once it's cleaned up, show you what it should look like. Then I'm going to pull the solenoid apart just to have a look inside, show you what that looks like, and then I'll put everything back together. Now, one thing that I forgot existed and forgot that I had was a thing called a burnishing tool. Basically it's rubber and metal mixed together. I forgot I had one of these, and you can see I just took a few swipes at it and it's already cleaning this up like crazy. So I'm going to see if I can actually do this a little bit with the camera going. Just get in there with that, and failing that, I have a couple pieces of SOS pads anyway. But this seems to be working pretty well. Let's get a focus going here. Get in there and clean that up. I'm doing this wrong. I should be doing it on the flat, but since I'm holding the camera, just wanted to show you kind of how well that works and how quickly that works. So if you get a chance and you're doing something like this, get a piece of this stuff. I'm going to use it on edge to get a flatter, better finish on there. But you can use it on that, and you can use it on here as well. Get in there and clean up all those surfaces. So I'll show you that once I'm done. And don't forget to either blow all these pieces out or suck these pieces out or something. Just make sure they don't get in there, because you don't want all that crap getting into your windings and stuff. So I got the one side all cleaned up, all pretty with the burnishing stick. That looks a lot better. You can see it is like grooved from where it is, but there's still a lot of material there. Like if you look at it from the side, there's a lot of material there left. So I've just taken all the pitting and stuff off of there. On the other side, it's kind of interesting. It's actually kind of raised up. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to grab some emery cloth, and I'm going to use some emery cloth to take that ridge down and get everything flat. If you don't know what emery cloth is, this is emery cloth. It's just basically sandpaper on a roll. And you tear a little bit of that piece off, you get right in. Great camera work here, it's on my phone, my apologies. Get right in there, sand those little pieces off, and then what I do is I take electrical contact cleaner, and I hold the starter upside down and I spray up into there. So when it sprays down, the contact cleaner washes all the little bits and pieces out of there, and you don't get any residue from the electrical contact cleaner. So okay, so I took the emery cloth, got that contact down to basically a little button. So it's fairly smooth there, and I got the other side all the impurities and stuff taken off of it, so that should be ready to go. I also did the ring with the burnishing tool. Cleaned that all up, all around this copper ring. Notice when I cleaned it off there was a light grease on here, so I'm going to put a light grease back on here to make sure that it's plunging properly. And I'm going to put it back together, and I'm going to take apart the solenoid, which should be just these two screws, and I'll have a look inside here and show you that in just a minute. I forgot to mention, while you're in here, you should have a quick look around at things. Just these are your contact points. Make sure everything's tight, nothing's coming loose. Check your soldering points here, make sure that they're solid, and just make sure that it's not filthy or excessively dirty inside. Make sure your contact points here are good, and this is good. Just basically straight through. You can check with an ohm meter if you want. Check your resistance from here to here, here to here, and from underneath this cap to here, just to make sure there's nothing wrong in here, nothing broken, and your connection is really good. Alright, back with the solenoid. So we got the main part of the starter put back together, the main body, and we got the solenoid cap pulled off. It was 2 screws just holding that cap down. Now, one tip that I'm going to give you guys is when you're working on Japanese trucks, you want to get what is called a Japanese International Standard screwdriver. The JIS has been used by the Japanese for a long time, and if you don't have the appropriate screwdriver, you're going to strip those screws out. A traditional American Phillips driver, when you insert it into a Japanese International Standard fastener, it causes a camming action and actually wants to cam out, because the American ones are made to cam out and not put too much torque. The JIS ones have an entirely different shape inside the slots. They're a deeper slot, so it doesn't, when you use an American screwdriver, it doesn't get full penetration on these fasteners. So then you pull this off, check your bearing on top, make sure there's still grease in there, make sure it still spins freely and isn't too bad. You want to take a look at all your brushes. Brushes here, you want to make sure that there's still contact with your commutator ring, and you want to make sure that there's still brush sticking out of the top of the brush holders. If not, I don't know if you can actually get these replacement brushes, but that would be a way of showing if your solenoid's going. Well, you know, I think I've been looking at this thing wrong. I think this is your solenoid. Yeah, and this is the starter side of it. Geez, duh. Okay, so anyways, sometimes I get things backwards. Anyways, so you want to go in here, and I'm going to take the contact cleaner, shoot all the carbon build up out of here, which isn't too bad, but everything looks clean. If all of a sudden your commutator was buggered up, that ring down there, if it was all full of carbon, you'd want to take this whole thing apart and clean all that up and get it all cleaned out so that you could keep going. And yeah, so pretty simple. Not a whole lot to these things when you really get into it. You just got to not be afraid of it. And so yeah, I'm just going to spray this down with carb cleaner, or contact cleaner, electrical contact cleaner, not carb cleaner, and put it all back together. Maybe throw a little bit of fresh grease in this bearing, and put it back together. Put the truck back together, and hopefully she'll work. So yeah, that's my my quick and dirty tutorial on how to clean up a Toyota starter. Just yeah, take everything apart, look for contacts that are dirty, and you know, clean all your carbon and everything out of it, and you'll be good to go. If you really want to, you can pull this whole ring off of here. This whole ring comes off, and you can detach that and take this whole center piece out of here. But you know, since everything looks so good, I don't really think I need to do that. So I'm going to push on that cog on the bottom and have a look at everything else here. Everything looks good. So you could take this whole top piece off, but then you got to reset all your carbon brushes. Everything's got to be lined up properly, and it's a pain in the butt. So if you can get away with not doing that, try not to. As long as it's spinning freely, and this does spin. There's a bit of resistance there, you know, from the brushes being in contact with it, but it does spin. So I think this is fine. I'm going to put it all back together and put it back in the truck, and hopefully she starts. Yeah, hope you've learned something, and you know, something like this, a video like this, little tips like this could save you hundreds of dollars on a new starter and keep, you know, starters out of landfills. And it's a waste these days. People don't want to bother rebuilding or redoing anything, and sometimes just taking something apart, having a look at it, cleaning up a few things is all it needs. You know, that's I don't even know what they charge for this, about 250 bucks Canadian probably for a starter like this. Who knows? But now I don't have to know, don't have to find out. It just takes you a couple hours in your garage. So put this back together, and hope you enjoyed it. If it fails, if it utterly fails, I will post a clip after this. If everything is good, this is it. Peace. Wish me luck. I'm out. One more thing I forgot to mention that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out all this area, the bunch of grease. There was a bunch more grease in here. I started cleaning it out, and I figured I should let you know. Clean all the grease out of there. Clean all the grease out of the gears, or even just re-grease it. Might not even need to take all the grease out of here. It should be pretty clean just because it's been inside the casing this whole time. So just re-grease around here, around this gear. Make sure everything's nicely lubed up and is going to last another, I don't know, who knows how long. So yeah, well, hopefully this is it. Hopefully this is the bonus clip. We'll see if she starts later on. Okay, so I've got everything put back together as far as the starter goes. This is the moment of truth. See if she fires up. It was an intermittent problem before, so even if it fires up now, it's basically only going to prove that I put things back together okay. But at least it'll prove that. That's the sweetest that starter has fired in a long time. I think we're golden. Right on. Peace out.